girl, Gel Beauty 87 here, and today we're going to get into a battle of the. So I have both of these lovely palettes here. Let me sit back so you can see them both. I have the cake palette, and then I have the ice cream dream palette that just came out recently. So I decided to do a battle of each palette because I feel like a lot of the colors in here are similar. I already did a swatch video for you all to check out on IG about the colors being similar, and that should be up before this one's up, but the ice cream dream initial review should be up before that. But I want to try to compare them against each other since, you know, I felt like they had a lot of similar tones. But I'm about to open them up and show you, and then you can tell me what you think. So this is the cake palette. As you can see, it's a nice little rainbow situation. I was always confused about how is this a cake palette, unless this is just supposed to be like all the sprinkles on the cake, and then the chocolate is supposed to be the chocolate of the cake or different flavors of the cake. And then here is the ice cream dream. So as you can see, I feel like they have enough similar tones to where, you know, you should be able to buy one without buying the other one. And FYI, the pastels in here, they do not come off as the same shade on your eye as they do in the pan. They're lighter on your eye than they are in the pan. So just bear that in mind when you're looking at this palette right here. So we don't have to use the pastels today though, but I made sure I used the pastels when I initially did that video because I wanted to see how that was going to work out. And it wasn't good. Anyway, we're going to try to make a similar look with each one of these palettes. So let's swatch some of the colors and then we'll see how to proceed. That's peach. So this is peach and this is red velvet. Each one of these is in a different palette. Peach, red velvet. Okay, so I feel like these tones are somewhat similar. This is peach. Sorry, this is red velvet and this is peach from the cake palette. So I'm thinking we're going to use those two. I'm thinking there's two shades in here called raspberry. I think that we might be able to pull off and use as well. So let me do that real quick. Swatch those just so we can get an idea. This one. Yeah, raspberry and raspberry. So these two are called raspberry. Raspberry and raspberry. So this is raspberry from the cake palette, and this is raspberry from the ice cream dream palette. And then the last shade I'm going to take is going to be like a shimmery type shade because I'm just trying to give y'all an idea of what shades in here are similar and which ones we can work with on the eye. So I have banana and lemon. So this is banana and this is lemon. And lemon. So that's lemon from the ice cream palette, and this is bananas from the cake palette. So as you can see, they are somewhat similar. I mean, the crease shades aren't exactly the same, but like I told you all, I'm trying to debate on if I should use black cherry instead of raspberry, just because I feel like that's lighter. So let's swatch that one real quick before we decide on using a raspberry with raspberry, because I'm thinking black cherry will work a little bit better for us. But they have a lot of same names in these palettes, but they don't have the same like color to them. Yeah, so this is the black cherry shade against the raspberry shade in the other palettes. I think we're going to use this raspberry shade and black cherry instead to create the look we're going to do. So I'm going to keep it simple. We're using 3 shades. I didn't want to do a whole lot, not to mention I got to wash all these brushes if we do a whole lot. So that's another reason we ain't doing a whole lot. But yeah, so I'm going to start off with the cake palette. I'm going to use the shade raspberry that we talked about, and then we'll use the shade black cherry on the other side of the eye when it comes to the ice cream dream palette. So I do notice that I feel like the shades in this palette are more true to color than the ones in the other palette. But you'll see what I'm talking about in a second because we're going to I swatched the colors specifically for you to see that they aren't the same color in the pan as they are on the eyeball. Especially in that second palette. So I'm going to take this brush, and y'all know I always have to blend it out to make it look nice and smooth and not so harsh. So now we're going to go into the other palette. We're using black cherry, remember that. And see, Black Cherry is just a tad bit darker. And you saw how dark it was when we swatched it, but I feel like it looks much lighter now than it does on the swatch on my hand. But you all can let me know what you think down below. I need to get some more rougher brushes today as they are having a sale. I don't know when the sale starts, and hopefully I'll be able to get the core set like I want. But I heard they have 20% off like on their entire like website. But I'm like, since I buy the stuff from the concept store, I'm like, is it really going to be a sale for me if it's only 20% off? And the concept store is 50% off. So that's the only reason I'm debating if I should get it. But see, the tones look pretty close, even though you see how dark on my hand this shade is. But on my eyes, it's looking really similar to this raspberry shade. So that's what I was talking about when I said the shades don't match up. They don't match up. So next we're going to go into the, what shade I said we were going to use? I said we were going to use Peach against, I think it's Red Velvet. Yeah, so I'm going to take the Peach shade in this palette. I'm going to use the same brush that I used before. And just start with the Peach shade in the crease. Excuse me. I don't know where that came from, seeing as how I've been sitting here for like the last hour and I haven't eaten or drank anything. Last time I ate or drank something was like 5 something in the morning. I think it's like 7 something now, so my apologies. I don't know where that came from. Sorry, y'all. I didn't realize the palette was that high up, but see, it's giving a nice little color story. Like you got the darker pink on the outer V, and then you got the more peachy shade toward the front. And then we're gonna put a cute little gold shade on top of all of this. But let's get into the Red Velvet shade now. And put that over here. I feel like this is more pinky peach, and the other one is just more orangey peach. So that's the only real difference I'm seeing in between the shades. I feel like the formulas on these are different too. Like I feel like the formula of this one in the new ice cream palette is softer than that in my cake palette. Like even when I swatch it, it feels softer, but that might be because it's a newer palette. I have had the cake palette for a little while. But again, I feel like they look somewhat close enough in tone to where I could pull it off, and when I go outside, nobody be able to tell I have on 2 different palettes. So I'm like, if it's doing that, do I really need both these palettes? Do you really need both these palettes? Because I feel like you're only buying this palette because it has pastels in it, and the cake one does not, but the pastels don't look the same as they do in the pan. So it's like, do you really need to buy it if it's doing all that? I personally don't think you do. I feel like you should just stick to the cake palette. So next we're gonna go into the 2 yellowish shades, and then we're gonna figure out an inner corner highlight that looks similar. I got a couple of shades in here I'm thinking about, but we're just gonna stick to the lid shade first. So I'm going to go into the shade Banana and start packing it on this side. I have flew to all those other places when I started wiping in a certain area. I don't get it, but okay. Okay, so there's not so many shimmer out of the crease because it's doing way too much in the crease. It needs to calm the hell down. I'm not a fan of a shimmery crease, so I'm probably gonna go back in with that orange shade and fix that up in a little bit. But I feel like it's just not giving me what I want when it comes to shimmer I feel like the shimmer is flying everywhere, not just sticking in the place I initially set it, so I don't like that. Let's take the peach shade again and see if we can tone down that shimmer, because it's doing way too much and it's pissing me off. So from right here on, we're going to go ahead and okay. It's taking a little while to get it to blend over the shimmer that was in the crease, but we're getting there. Okay, so this eye is done. Let's get into the other eye. Get rid of all the brushes that go with this eye so I don't get confused. Now we're going to take the shade Lemon. That was the one for this eye, and I'm using a number 1 from Alter Ego. So I appreciate this shimmer isn't flying every goddamn where. As I put it on the lid, it's actually going where I'm placing it instead of flying everywhere else. I'm actually feeling like I like the way this eye looks better just because this one didn't want to cooperate and the shimmers flew everywhere. But as you can see, they're giving the exact same eye looks. So it's just a question of, do you really want to try the pastels in this palette after I've told you that they're not going to look the way they're supposed to? Or are you, you know, going to go ahead and get this one and try the pastels out for yourself? Because I did swatches of them in that video, I believe. Or I might have just did swatches of what's in the cake palette, and then I did swatches on IG with other pastel palettes so you could see what I was talking about. Because this one is more of a shimmery, sparkly type thing, whereas the one in the ice cream palette is looking more like a liquid gold type situation. So that might be why I don't have a lot of glitter splatter on this side, but I have a lot of glittery fallout type shades on this time, because this palette seems more shimmery and that one seems more like ColourPop Super Shock Shadow type formula, to where it doesn't have a whole bunch of glitter in it, but it gives you that smooth foily look. Because as you can see, this one is quite more glittery and this one is smoother, if you will. So I guess it just depends on what your preference is. I prefer the cake palette, because it's like at the end of the day, I'm getting all these, a lot of similar shades in the cake palette. Like even some of the names are the same on here. Like they have chocolate in this one, they have raspberry in this one, they have black cherry in this one, they have red velvet in this one, and you can find red velvet in this one, chocolate in this one, raspberry in this one. Are there any other shades in here that's similar? Red velvet is in this one as well. So it's like a lot of the names are the same in this one as the old one, but it just seems like they changed the shimmer formula in this one and added like pastels that don't match the colors that they're supposed to in the pan on your eyes. So it's up to you to decide. I just want to show you how I felt like they look the same, and I feel like it pretty much looks pretty close enough. Like this shade is a little, the black cherry shade is a tad bit darker than this one, and this orange shade is a little bit more orangey than this peach shade. I'm sorry, it's a little bit more orangey, orange, I guess. Or orange peachish than the shade I used on this side, which was, I believe it was red velvet. Yeah, so the fact that they look so close, like if you didn't get close up on me or if you didn't see this tutorial, I doubt you'd notice anything other than the lighter pink on the outer V as opposed to this one being darker, because even the shimmers look the same. You just see more glitter over here than you do over there. So I hope this was a helpful video to decide if you need to get the Ice Cream Dream palette if you already have the cake palette, or if you want to see how the cake palette performed against this one. I do feel like the mattes in here perform better than the ones in the cake palette. Like I said, I felt like they were a little drier, but at the end of the day, I've had my cake palette for a while, so that might be why they're drier as opposed to this one being a little bit softer because it's, you know, a newer palette. That's pretty much it though. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, you all are dimes, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. fire. Oh, don't forget, this one has more shades in it than the cake palette as well. So there's that as well. But like I said, remember, you all are diamonds. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.